Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be working on this Ghoulia Yelps doll. She was secondhand, so I'm not sure what line she's from. I found a few items that I thought I might use, just kind of a color storyboard. Gold and white was what I was going for. I'll be making her into Anahera, or an angel. And as usual, I start by taking off all over clothes and accessories. And I actually keep those. I might use them later in another project. Then I go ahead and get rid of her hair, because even though her hair was in really great shape, it's just not the right color for what I'm going for. I bind it really carefully, and I actually saved that as well. And then I took a pair of scissors and cut off the ponytail, and then cut off the rest of her hair as short as I could get it, as close to the scalp. And then I use a hair dryer to remove her head without trying to damage the neck pad, and using a screwdriver and a pair of well, I don't remember what they're called but the little locking plier type tweezer things. I'll remember them later, but I use that to pull out the glue and the last little bits of hair from the inside of her head. Then I went ahead and took my pure acetone and a cotton pad to clean off her existing paint job there. Once I had that done, I gave her head a nice bath with soapy water, get rid of all the acetone so it wouldn't react with the vinyl. I'm just using a Q-tip there to clean out the little crevices in her lips, just to make sure I got all of the paint. And as you can see, I even removed the paint from her head, the top of her head, because her hair wasn't going to be blue, it's going to be white. Then I took a nail buffer and buffed off all of the glossy shine from her body, and paid really close attention to the seams, trying to get rid of those, make them as smooth as possible. I didn't try to remove the lettering from her back, because that kind of tells you which model she is. So once I had her clean and ready to go, I decided to use this white acrylic yarn, which is Red Heart acrylic yarn, Super Saver, I believe, and carefully using my little trick to separate the yarn into little strands that I could then use to reroot her head. So I used my homemade rerouting tool using an X-Acto knife handle and a broken off needle. I was able to reroot her entire head using those strands of acrylic yarn. And I like to do the perimeter, then fill in everything and do her part last, because I like to split it as I do it and make the part where I want it. And you can see as I poke one strand in, I actually put one to one side and one of that to the other side, one end to one side and one end to the other side. Then I bundled up her hair and wrapped her, put in my favorite fabric, tack glue into the inside of her head, so that hopefully none of her hair would pull out when I went to brush it out and then straighten it. Then I went to my chalk pastels. These are Munyo. You can get them on Amazon, to blush her face. I am using various shades of gray, since that's what her skin tone is, and I don't want to change that. I want her to stay kind of looking dead, because that's what angels are, right? But to give her just a little bit of warmth and glow, like her halo is glowing. So I used various shades of gray, and then this little bit of pink, and a little bit of white, and a little bit of like a periwinkle color. And I'm just shading her head, making sure I pay attention to where any shadows would fall. That's really what I'm going for. You're not really blushing, but more just adding the shadows where they should be. like hollows of the cheek and under the jaw and around the neck, behind the ears, that sort of thing. And in the temples as well, a little bit around the hairline. And then I blushed her lips with the pink and white mix together. I really didn't want to give her a lipstick shade or anything like that. I just wanted to kind of flush her lips more than anything else. I still want her to look dead. So once I had this first layer off, I went ahead and dusted everything. Added some, just a little bit to her cheeks, pink and white. Mostly just so that she didn't look completely dead, just a slight flush. And once I had that all done, I made her lips as dark as I could get with this first layer. I did go ahead and seal this all in with Mr. Super Clear Spray, or MSC as other doll artists call it. And there I was just giving her a little bit of highlight on her, above her brow bone, across her forehead, along her nose, and the point of her chin. And as you can see here, I am trying to darken in those shadows a little bit in her ears, behind her, her neck, on the back of her head, anywhere that would natural shadows fall. And once I dusted her off, I sprayed her again. While that was drying, I went to her body and blushed the body just exactly the same way, same colors. Again, I want her skin to look dead. She's supposed to be this angel that has, had lived on Earth, died, and was managed to earn her wings at that point. So that's what I was trying to go for. Not sure if I succeeded there or not, but mostly I just used these several shades of gray just to darken up her joints, and the bottoms of her feet. And once again, just trying to add in the color where her natural shadows would be. I did add a little pink to the bottom of her feet, just because I always added pink to the bottom of all of my dolls' feet. And like you can see, I'm just adding the darker shades where her natural shadows would be, in between her shoulder blades and that sort of thing, any of the joints, and along her hands and so on. I'm basically just trying to get natural shadows. I did put a little pink on her hands as well, once again, because I do that to all of my dolls, just a little bit of a flush on the palms of their hands. And if you're wondering, my thumb is covering her chest just in case I get in trouble with some sort of, sensor violation. Trying to, keep her modest. I did do under her collarbones and in between that nice little hollow on her neck, along the sides of her neck as well. Just trying to put in the shadows that would naturally be there. And then once I had her all blushed the way I wanted her, I went ahead and used the Mr. Super Clear Spray again to seal that all in. And I actually sealed her twice with that, just to make sure that nothing rubbed off. And that was it for her body. And here I am going back in and using my light brown, kind of trying to figure out what kind of eye shape I want. At this point, I wasn't entirely sure. I thought I might want her to look kind of down, as if she were shy, or just kind of in prayer, maybe. But honestly, I couldn't get that to work for me. She just looked mad. So you'll see in a little bit that I changed my mind on how her eye shape is. But I went ahead and kept sketching, gave her slightly arched eyebrows, which again kind of added to that anger look, or villain sort of look. So you'll see here in a little bit that her eyebrows end up being a lot more straight, not really arched. And I used my black to actually I think this is dark brown. I used that to kind of start filling in slightly darker details, just so I could get a better idea of what I was doing, darkening her nostrils and that sort of thing. And I use a pink color to fill in her waterline, and here in just a moment I realize I don't like how this is turning out, so I erase it all and try again, making her eyes open just a little bit more, following more of the face mold, and I'm a lot happier with that. I go to my shades of gray and blue gray to give her stormy sort of eyes. Not for any other reason than my handy helper wanted her to have blue-gray eyes. So that's what I did. I use a blue-gray at the top, which is dark, and then a medium gray in the middle, and a light gray on the bottom, and here's the light gray you can see. These are Derwent watercolors and Prismacolors. Prismacolor watercolors, pencils, and I actually just got these and I really like them. So there I am, I'm just checking it out, seeing how I like it. Fill in the whites of her eyes with the Derwent watercolor white pencil that came in my little kit you'll see there off the left. Rather like that kit. Now I'm using my black to try to see about giving her some sort of eyeliner. I don't want it to really look like eyeliner. I wanted it to kind of be more subtle. But you'll see in a minute that I failed at that. Mostly I'm just going, after each spray of Mr. Super Clear, I just am going in and just layering on yet another bit of the same color. If I used blue-gray there in the first place, then I used it again after the spray, and then sprayed it again, and then another layer of color, and just kept doing that. I think all in all, I used 10 layers of Mr. Super Clear to get this more like I wanted it. And now you can see with my light gray, I'm trying to pencil in her eyebrows, and not happy with how that was looking. It just wasn't showing up very well, so I went with my darker gray and kind of gave her over the top of those, and then I decided I didn't like the shape, so I erased them and tried again, and just kept doing that. And I can see why most of the doll artists have trouble with eyebrows, because I was definitely having trouble. I give her a highlight under the brow bone, and here I am filling in just a little bit more color with the pink and trying to give her that little pouty sort of look with the black, so her lip was just a little open. Then I was gonna flush her eyelids with pink, and then later on you'll see that I actually went back to using my pastels in the pink and the periwinkle, just to give her eyes just a little more detail, more I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. It's a little more oomph, I guess is what I was going for. And here I am playing with our eye color yet again, just trying to decide, how exactly I want these eyes to look. I was having trouble with the color scheme of blue-gray because I only had one blue-gray and it's really dark. And how do you make that lighter? So it was really just an experiment. And adding her pupils just, for some reason, just made everything just so much better. So once I got her pupils right, and hopefully not a bit, wall-eyed there, I was able to finish that, and then I'm using the same dark blue-gray color to yet another layer. I think this is like number 8 or something. At this point of Mr. Super Clear, and then more layers of color. And I just keep playing with the values, pushing them back and forth. I add some details to the eye with the lines, with the white. And then later on you'll see that I add in her outline the eyelids there just a little more with the black, fix those pupils. And at this point I realize that I'm quite happy with this and hoping that I don't screw up when I start adding her eyeshadows in. I guess that's the right word for it. I blushed her cheeks just a little bit more to realize that every time I put the super clear spray on it, it kind of fades it out a little bit. So add more and let it fade a little bit, and actually by the time it was all done I thought it was pretty good. Here you'll see I'm adding in the periwinkle color to either side of her pink eyeshadow just to give it a little more interest, and then I use the white above everything under her brow bone or under her eyebrow to make it, just kind of a shimmer highlight there. And then I give her bottom lashes and not top lashes because I'll be giving her 3D lashes later. And I'm using my Derwent, but it's not the watercolor one, it's the ink tints, I think it's called, to try to give her the eyelashes because that pencil stays sharp. And then I use some acrylic paint, white acrylic paint, to give her the eye shines. And that's where I realized, wow, this is what I want. This has turned out the right way. And then I go ahead and use some micro powders, the Pearl-X powders. I'm using micro pearl here to give her some shine, like her halo's glowing, and then the gold just on the top on her forehead, again to kind of emphasize that glowing halo sort of effect. I'm not really sure if that's how it comes across, but that's what I was going for. Now to add her angel wings, I need to put a hole in her back, so I'm just using a little drill bit there to drill a small hole in her back, and I will glue her wings on there. There's one of them. I'm just testing the hole to see how deep if it had gone all the way through, and to test to make sure that I didn't need to cut the wings. And now I can put her head and body back together and get to work on her hair. And here's where I made my first mistake. I actually cracked her face up under her chin here. I should have warmed up her head with the hairdryer again, or better yet, put her head back on her body before I started her face up. But live and learn. I probably will revisit this doll and change her again at some point later. But for now, I was actually able to kind of fix it by just spraying her again, and the spray filled in the cracks. So I went ahead and brushed out her hair using a pet brush, and now I'm going to straighten it using my little tiny hair straightener I got for Christmas. Thank you, Mom and Dad-in-law. My handy helper actually picked that out for me. She knew I wanted a little one. All I had was the really big one, and it wasn't working so well for dolls. So I straighten her hair little pieces at a time. And when I do, it goes from looking like Bride of Frankenstein to being nice and straight and more flat. So here's where I decided to move her part from the left to, or from her right side to her left side. I'm not sure why I did that. And I'm just kind of playing with this particular bit to see what kind of hairstyle I want. And I actually finished her hairstyle off camera. As you can see, I did a couple of rope braids on either side, just pulling the top bit of and front bit of her hair back. Add a pretty little gold ribbon to her, where I add the little elastic. Mostly just because I didn't want to use white. It would have blended in just a little too much with her hair. I wanted the bow to stick out, just, you know, stand out a bit. And off camera I futz with this bow. So here you can see I've made her just a simple satin gown, robes. The base has a lace, and then I have a halo, and I actually attached the wings to the robe and pushed the little pen out through the back of the robe, and then so that it could be pushed into the hole in her back. And here I'm using some fabric tack glue in that hole to place that little piece of wire that is sticking through the robes into her back. Now I used another YouTuber's tutorial to make her wings. It's Aku Maru. I don't know how to say it. Kawaii. That link will be down in the description box or up in the eye to make these wings. Because I wasn't really sure how I wanted to do it. Here you'll see I'm just using a gold ribbon to tie around her waist to keep her robes closed. If you saw my Harry Potter character, this is pretty much the same pattern. As you can see, I gave her some lace at the bottom to make it a little more feminine, edged everything in gold to do that red or that white and gold theme I was going for. And now I'm going to pretty much use a doll needle to stab her head to make a spot for her halo to go in. The wire that I use to make the halo is kind of thin. It's only like 18 gauge wire, and it's soft, so it wants to bend easily. I didn't explain how I made the halo. It's I wrapped it around actually that jar right there of toothpicks to make the round part, wrapped 3 times, then twisted it at the base, and then I used thinner wire and wire wrapped all the way around the halo. And then I had this nice little halo, and I was able to stab it in her head. So thanks so much for watching. Here comes some solo pics, and we will see you next time.